Hello YouTube, I am Stuart McLaughlin. We're on the whatever channel this is, Space Terraformer, and today is my Overlord review, which I absolutely love. Well, I don't love it, but I enjoy the game. Good old game that I got when I was younger. Anyway, enjoy. Okay, so here we are. This is Overlord, and I have the DLC, but it don't really make much difference at this point. Let's turn this down a bit. Okie dokie. So, there's some minions for you, dancing. Let's begin. I'll just show you the first part of the game on normal difficulty. Let's begin. So, Overlord is about a game. Is about you, and you are an evil person. You are an Overlord, and you have tons of minions at your command. Well, not at first, but eventually you do. So here they are, waking you up, and I'm not going to ruin much about the story because it starts very mysterious, and it all makes sense by the end of the game, which is really interesting. But at this point, I'm just going to say that it is a very, very, very fun game. Now, as you can see, they're arming you up, and this is your armour. It's quite nice. Now, the game itself, gameplay-wise, this is me, by the way, gameplay-wise, isn't the greatest, you know, it's good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But it's the same stuff over and over again a lot, which gets a bit boring and repetitive, but it is so much fun. You forget about that as you're playing it because you have all these minions at your command and you're so evil. I'm just going to skip all this tutorial bit. So here's a minion gate, and from here you can summon minions, like so. Now, you can't have an infinite number of minions, you can't keep summoning until your game crashes, which is a bit of a shame really. Would have been fun. I suppose if you get a trainer or something, or hack it or some sort of cheat, which I don't ever do of course now, you can have as many minions as you want, but sticking to the actual game, you can't. Now I could go with the tutorial, I'm not going to. I'm going to show you all this. You've got your domain quests, you've got also, you can look at all your quests and your history. On the left it tells you how many of each minion you have in your tower and wherever you are, the domain. Also, the picture with the minions with the number 5 next to it, that is the amount of minions you can have up to. That's your max number of minions. The skull, not the skull, the helmet with the red around it, that is your corruption, which I'll tell you about more later. The 100% thing is the strength of your minions. Now, this always starts at 100% as long as you've got one minion, and as your minion arms themselves with weapons and armour and stuff like that they find and loot, that will go up. And then obviously there's money, gold, which is at 0 at the moment. So I'll just show you the first part of the game. I won't show you the tutorial because it's a bit boring really. So what we're about to see now is the tower. Now you have a massive tower. Now that is one of the rooms of the tower. It's the spawning pit, which is the spawning pit, believe it or not. That's where your minions live. You don't really go down there much, apart from the end of the game, but I'm not going to say anything about that. I hope you didn't hear that. Don't matter if you did. This is your throne room. You have 5 rooms altogether. You've got the spawn pit, you've got the throne room, the spawn pit, the armory, smithy area thing where your furnaces are and which you find, the smelters. They've got the dungeon, which is every creature you fight you can actually fight in this dungeon, which is down there eventually. That's where the spawning pit is, the smelters, and then here, this is up there eventually, is the armory. Not the armory, I've already said that. Is the private quarters, which when you get a mistress will be rebuilt. You get a crane, and then as soon as you get your first mistress, the entire tower is fully rebuilt and it looks really nice. And when you've got your mistress, you can upgrade your tower, make it look how you want. I'm not going to really say much else about the story. I'm not going to say anything about the story really. Apart from that, you've got to just rebuild your tower and take down the 7 heroes. who aren't really heroes anymore. But that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to ruin it, because it's a very good game of this. Your minions, as you can tell, will attack things for you, and they will bring things to you. So this stuff here is life force, and you collect it, and it allows you to spawn minions. So you can only spawn minions if you have life force. So there you go, attacking everything for you. And they also, if you tell them, will pick up things. Okay, let's go summon some minions. So there are 4 types of minions in the game. There's browns, these, which are your main fighters. There are reds, which can throw fireballs on a range but can easily be killed. Greens, which are stealth and do a ton of damage when they jump on an enemy's back, but aren't as strong as browns. And then there's finally the blue minions, which can swim through water, are terrible at fighting, but they are the only minion that can kill magical creatures like wisps or ghosts and elves and things like that. And they can also resurrect dead minions, which gets really useful later on in the game when you're finding all your minions are dying from zombies. So, like I showed you before, I showed you the corruption thing. Now, there are multiple endings to the game. Depending on how corrupt you are, you can be good, you can be evil, you can be somewhere in between. It's up to you. But by completing evil actions and stuff like that, you increase your corruption. And as your corruption increases, you'll have spikes and stuff growing out of you, and you'll become very dark indeed. You'll become evil. And yeah, so here we are, we're fighting the halflings. These are the first enemies. The amount of references to Lord of the Rings in this, well, not references, like the halflings, hobbits, it goes on, there's the elves, the dwarves. No, they're including no fantasy things. But there's the wizard, it's all Lord of the Rings themed in a way. And if you can tell, especially when you get the best armour, you look a lot like Sauron of Lord of the Rings. If you haven't seen Lord of the Rings, you should watch it, it's a good film. Now I'm going to do my first evil act, like so, killing this poor guy. So there you go. You can kill any peasant and it starts that. But as you can see, my corruption's gone up to 3%. And if I go on my history, it tells you, and it'll show you your good and bad actions and all the quests you've done. Things like that. Minions can pick up armour, like that. There you go. And that, as you can see, the thing's gone up to 104. You can also sweep minions, which is this, where you have direct control of them, like that. And they'll go and fight anything you want. You are quite powerful as well, especially when you get some of the higher weapons. You can do a ton of damage. And you also get magic, which is fun to play with. And the top magic spells, depending on if you're good or evil and all that, depend on how powerful or what they're like. So you get this ultimate fire spell, which destroys everything if you're evil, but if you're good, it only harms enemies, it doesn't scorch the land. Stuff like that. And here's the Tower Heart, which is your hub, basically. It goes in the tower, it allows you to teleport anywhere that you've been to, as long as there's a tower gate, like that one over there. You also find these small little waypoint gates. Only one can be activated at a time. It's a bit annoying if you're going somewhere and you want to quickly switch between 2 places, but it's 2 waypoint gates, you can't do it. You can only have one activated. Let's clear these pumpkins. There we go. Let's get this Tower Heart up and bring that back. Now they will find a shortcut. I already know what the shortcut is because I've played this game so many times. As well, you have to find minion relics, which will allow you to increase the amount of minions you can get. So like that thing there says you need 10 minions to get through it. Now I can only get 5 at the moment, as that thing there says. So by bringing this back, hopefully it'll give you a tower relic, which will allow you to carry more minions. Good minions are now bringing the thing back to the tower gate, which will teleport back to the tower. Now, as you become more good or evil, your appearance will slightly change. As good, your appearance basically stays the same as evil. Like I said, you'll have spikes growing out of you, things like that. And also, if you make the towns afraid of you, they will offer you up one slave, which will appear there, and you can take this slave in and have a slave in your tower. And then you can capture 9 others and have 10 slaves. So, it's a good idea. If you never really played the bad guy in a game, you should for once, because it's fun. Believe it or not, that's why I like the games like Fable, which I might do a review about sometime next week, maybe. Or am I doing Overlord 2? I don't even know yet. I'll find out. So, this is your tower. I'm just going to skip that and just show you one last look before we go. And you can renovate it eventually, and it looks absolutely awesome. The Overlord, looking mean as always. Stupid thing. I hate that thing. So, there you go. So there we go, that was some of the gameplay. I'm sorry if there was any frame rate issues or where it skipped a bit. I don't know what's going on. Something's happening on my computer which is a bit weird. But I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, hopefully I'll do another review next week. Well, the review's not even finished yet. I'd give that game about an 8 out of 10. I told you some of the good points. I've not really told you any of the bad points, because there's not a lot of flaws in the game. It was very underrated, and yeah. So, I hope you enjoyed that, and I will maybe do a review next week. So long.